What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Chris Talks, the video podcast where we talk about music and composing and all that good stuff. And I want to thank you for the reception on the first episode where we talked about Perfect Pitch last week. It was a lot of fun. And this is something I definitely want to continue on doing. So, as always, please leave your suggestions in the comments below. If you have more topics that you'd like to see covered, I'm more than happy to do them because this is a really fun format for me, I think, just having a conversation with you. And I look forward to continue doing this. So, as you can read by the title, today we're going to be talking about education, formal education in the world of music, and how much education is actually needed in order to, start composing, producing, arranging, orchestrating, all the things like that. I think it's a really big question because, on forums like Facebook and groups like that, I always see the question like, do I need to go to school for music? What's the main benefit of going to schools like Berkeley or, like-minded music schools? How is that going to help me with my future in film scoring, producing for artists, things like that? So we'll talk about that in this video. But before we do that, I want to give you something totally free as a gift for watching this video, and it is my Making Money in 2020 and Beyond guide. It's basically a free PDF that goes over my preferred model of creating a side income, a passive income from music. And you can actually, this is not even limited to music in general. This could be applied to really any other genre of business. So it's totally free, but it's a really rock solid way of creating a monetization stream from your passion. So it's an absolutely free guide. If you click on the first link in the description box below, you'll find it there. And I wanted to give it to you as a gift, because it's kind of related to what we're talking about today. And I want to set you up for success as much as possible. So going into today's topic of musical education in music, how much really is needed in order to start writing music? I think it's a fine balance. Let me share with you a little bit of my background first. So, from the age of 5, I was brought up on the piano, and I was trained classically. So, I actually went to university for classical piano performance. When I was in my teens, I did lots of festivals and competitions and things like that, which were a lot of fun because I got to kind of express myself on the piano. But when it came time to graduate high school and looking at universities, at that time, I already realized that I kind of wanted to get into songwriting, and I discovered my love for songwriting, and I kind of wanted to go to a school that fosters those passions, like of songwriting, music production, things like that. But my parents were like, okay, you should find something that's a little more practical. So they suggested I go into nursing my first year, which I did. I did a year of nursing, and I realized it wasn't for me. My dad was actually pretty unhappy about it. He was thinking, I couldn't see Christopher doing nursing as a living because he's a dentist himself. So it's like, we have family friends that are nurses, and they have horror stories and things like that. So for me, it was a kind of a clear path to actually pursue what I was better at, which was playing the piano. So I actually went to the piano program at the University of Toronto, did that for 4 years. But playing the piano was always something I felt as a really good expressive tool. But at the same time, because I was playing repertoire of other people, mostly dead composers, right? It didn't give me 100% satisfaction. And I truly found my love for it when I started to songwrite, when I started to write my own music. And so, throughout my 4 years, I never really grew a love for classical performance. But one of my friends in second year introduced me to Contact, which we all know and love is the popular sample player for many, many instruments. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. I started my YouTube channel at the end of 2017, and I just started sharing what I knew. And this was easier for me because I knew, I had a classical background, and I was brought up with theory classes, harmony, counterpoint, history. History was super boring, but like I was brought up with, the classical rudiments. And so I had a foundation in music theory, which talked about some elements of orchestration and counterpoint and arranging, which was really great and beneficial in the long run for sure. But I never really had any formal schooling on those topics of orchestration, arrangement, production, things like that. I kind of did that all on my own. And skip forward to after graduating in 2018, the YouTube channel has only grown, and I'm continuing to learn more every day. But because I'm allowing myself, or sorry, I'm sharing new material with you every week. It allows me to continue to stay on top of my game as much as possible and learn new things and try to develop myself as much as possible. Um, so while I had a formal education in classical piano, I actually had no formal education in orchestration, arranging, production, things like that. It was the way I learned orchestration and arranging was mainly through listening to my favorite soundtracks, namely classic Disney songs, Alan Menken type of stuff. Listening to Nintendo's Super Mario Galaxy soundtracks, they have some really lush, beautiful pieces in there, and um, and it's just classical music as well. Being brought up with orchestral classical music was obviously really nice, and a lot of piano music actually had um, orchestral tendencies as well. Like Beethoven, if you know Beethoven, he writes a lot of music that is very conducive to the orchestral vein. So whenever you hear like da 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 da, like if you play that on the piano, da 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 da, right? You can imagine like the low brass and strings playing that, for example, if you had to assign those notes to an orchestra. Other composers not so much, but Beethoven absolutely. And my teachers would always ask me like, what could you imagine, like what instrument could you imagine playing these notes here and there? So I really had to think about that, and I really wasn't interested at the time, but now I can see how beneficial that is. So all that to say that formal education really is not necessary if you're trying to just improve your craft, because all the information you'd be looking for can be found online. I think formal education is especially useful if you're trying to build connections, in-person connections, and you're trying to develop a network of people to work with in the future. That can be especially useful if you're going to a school like Berkeley or I don't know, Yale or whatever. If you're going to any music school, even like a film scoring school, you can get hands-on experience and meet filmmakers and learn the skills in class. But at the same time, you can learn those same skills of the practical side of things on your own computer, for example, if you really looked for all the information. So the main benefits I think of going or getting a formal education at a prestigious music school is really to build the in-person connections and gain the in-person experience, which you don't get on an online course or working by yourself. So the short answer, do you need formal education to produce and write music? No. Does it help with networking and connections? It can absolutely. It depends on what you make of your time at those institutions if you do decide to go that route. And you might, you'll probably pick up some special skills in music school that you don't working on your own anyway. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on musical education. You don't need it, but there's something to be said for a solid foundation in the theoretical aspects of music and the practical side of music theory to actually get you up and running, so that you're not hindered in your workflow when you actually start writing music, if you know what I mean. So that's why I recommend everyone study or everyone should get a music theory teacher at least to cover the basics and the intermediate concepts, right? So that you actually have an understanding of what you're doing when you're writing your own music. But you don't need to go to like a formal school in order to develop other skills past that. I think you can learn those on your own. I certainly did. I learned Kontakt on my own. I did orchestration and arranging just by listening and get familiarizing myself with those timbres and how they interact with each other. Those can all be done over time through listening. So you'll save yourself a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars. But if you do want the in-person connection, then the in-person route is probably the way to go. So it really depends on what you're going for. So my question for you is, have you gone to a formal music school, like a prestigious, have you gotten a formal music education? And if so, what was that in? Do you find it's helped you in your own music making process? And if so, let me know how. And before you go, I want to give you again my making money in 2020 and beyond. It's basically a free guide for composers, but again, it expands past music. It can go for really any niche that you're going in. And I just want to give it to you as a gift for watching this video, and I hope it'll really help you on your path forward. So thank you so much again for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have suggestions for other topics, please let me know. I'm really looking forward to hearing your suggestions, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.